Hey everyone, this is your host Chris G from Blurred's Eye View. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. First, it's free. You definitely can't beat that. Plus, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast and more. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Aren't you tired of talking heads just talking? Black Gamut Entertainment is vowing to change the industry. We podcast with a purpose, and our shows have goals. If you want to help make a change, then come join the Black Gamut family. Together, we make a difference. Welcome to Blurred's Eye View. I'm your host, Chris G. Blurred's Eye View is a podcast that covers the latest and greatest in geek pop culture and everything in between. And with me is my co-host, Darius DC Chambers. How's it going, Darius?
It is going well. What is going on, people? How are y'all doing?
I'm doing great. Let me introduce our special guest tonight. Our guest is a 33-year-old who enjoys playing dress-up and has been cosplaying for about 5 years, and she is completely in love with it. She's cosplayed characters from Silk from the Spider-Man comics, Playboy Bunny, Poison Ivy, and her glorious take on the Black Swan and the Penguin. She comes from a household of Marines that she's grown up in, and she's grown up in Japan, and has a teenager that she has yet to dispose of and believes pineapple does not belong on pizza. She is also one-third of the podcast collective, The Triangle. Meet the lovely Brandi Blocker. How's it going, Brandi?
That's when you play all those claps that fill in. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Yeah, that's quite an introduction. It's almost like I wrote some of it. It's
I embellished a little bit to. I embellished a little bit to give you a little.
I know, like
little. It's a gift. It's a gift.
Little something. I'm not mad at that at all.
So,
but it's going.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, it's great. What are you watching?
What am I watching now? I was pretty obsessed with Dr. Stone until I wasn't, because I have this bad habit of being like, I'm going to finish the Ozarks in a week. Or I'm going to finish, this anime, even though it's like 2 years long. I'm like, I'm going to do it this week. And I don't. So the last thing I did leave off on was Dr. Stone, which is an amazing anime. I just hate that I fell out of it. As soon as something else comes up in life, I don't know about anybody else, but as soon as something else comes up, that's a wrap for that show. You'll get back to it if you can, but that's a wrap.
Okay, so as I said before, we cover the latest in geek pop culture and and everything in between. And me and Darius had already talked about San Diego Comic-Con last week, which was its first in its 51 history, its first virtual at-home convention. The news just came out this past week that it wasn't that big of a turnout. I don't know if it's because, there's several variables I feel is involved. A lot of people go to a lot of conventions, not just to show off their cosplays, but a lot of them go to meet like their favorite artists, favorite writers, even their celebrities. And I think it kind of takes away from having that one-on-one interaction, and I get what they're saying, I mean, if you had a chance to meet Chris Hemsworth or the actress that plays Daisy Johnson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you want to meet that one-on-one, and then it kind of takes it away. It's great if you speak to them, virtually or had a question answered, but I think it takes away from that flavor. And I think they said that for each of their panels, they had like maybe 15,000 views or something. And they had a lot of panels. They had quite a few panels. Some of them I haven't gotten all the way through. I've only watched the What We Do in the Shadows panel, Nathan Fillion's panel, the New Mutants panel, which I'm actually excited for the movie if they just hurry up and get everything together so they can put this thing out. So what do you think about do you think this should be the new normal?
Absolutely not. I'm so against it. It's not even funny. And not that I'm one of those people that's anti-mask and this thing doesn't exist.
Right.
I very much agree with that. But realizing outside of going to WizardCon before they shut everything down, I was like, damn, my whole cosplay year is ruined. And then I got excited for 2 seconds about the thought of having these virtual cosplays. And I felt the same thing you did. It was completely empty. Like, I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer growing up, the movie and the TV show.
Right.
So when I found out even Joss Whedon was going to start being involved in writing for the Avengers and everything else, I was like, he's everything. So this is going to be good. So my heart is with that show, right? So they're all like, hey, you can meet this person, that person, just pay this and do it all virtual. And then it just felt cheap. It felt like I was being cheated out of an experience because the first person I get to meet is Jason David Frank, and he was everything.
He's amazing. Yeah,
he's amazing. He made my son feel special, and I just couldn't believe you had 2 different generations of Power Ranger fan meeting the Green Ranger, and it was everything. And I would not have felt that same way being limited to a screen. I just got to feel that energy in person. I got to see you in person. So I hope this is not the new normal because I'm not wanting to get used to it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. You know, being in this field and being a cosplayer myself, and you meet so many people online, and then, you know, everybody goes to all these conventions, like Dragon Con will be coming up now, and, you know, if you didn't make San Diego Comic-Con, Dragon Con would probably be your next convention that you would go to, and you meet tons and tons of people, and it's a 5-day party, basically, and those that you meet online and you friends with, and then you finally get to meet them in person and take pictures and, you know, do these great photo shoots and meet these great photographers and great cosplayers and everything in between.
I mean, I know it sounds fucking corny, but I'm like, I felt like I met my people for real, the first con I went to. Yeah. Because typically in our circles, me being interested in what I was that white people shit. And I'm like, oh, it's nice. I promise you, the promise ain't white only. I promise you that. Like, this is something for everybody to enjoy. So not really having anybody in the family that could get with it. And then especially when I started cosplaying, because I realized there was different levels of nerddom to people. And if you start dressing up and acting like the characters, a lot of people are just like, that shit's weird for me.
Yeah.
So to go with my son, who also naturally likes it, and to be amongst people with no shame, and I mean that in the best way. I'm like, this feels like I got a new adopted family. And you get to see the same cosplayers every year, the same people with their booth expand, and just get to rapid taste with them, like, how have things been going? How is the business? Like, it's just not going to be the same virtually. It's going to feel like it's settling. So I hope they don't get used to this and maybe just use this as a precaution in case we encounter something else in our lifetime. We know we have this as an option, but don't make this the main thing.
Yes, please. They just this week was released. Warner Brothers reveals the new Batman Death in the Family box art and release date, which this one looks very interesting. And for those who do not know, Death in the Family is basically the death of Robin, who was at that time Jason Todd. And they've and the first time you see part of the story is Batman Under the Red Hood. So now they've kind of redone it, and they've gone a different direction, and it's more of an interactive base. So now you get to choose whether Batman saves Robin, whether Robin escapes death, or you allow Robin to die. And there are different avenues pertaining that, which is a very cool concept for that character, to see what would have happened if Batman done it. Now, this is a DC animation, and as a lot of fans have come to say, and it's very true, DC animated films and shows kill it.
The next level.
Yeah, every time. So I don't have any doubt that this is going to be another knock out the park story. You know, I still have to catch up. I still haven't seen Justice League Apocalypse War yet, but it's on my list. And Darius, what do you think about the whole interactive changing?
Ah, man. Well, I've seen Under the Red Hood, and it was actually one of the best ones I've seen. I like the storytelling. The animation, of course, is always dope, but just the to see how they played the story and the way they portrayed it. Because I didn't read the comic book, but I love that story of Jason Todd and what happened to him and how it happened and how the guilt that you see Batman carrying throughout this whole ordeal to me was, I'm not gonna say it made me cry a little bit because that would make me look weird. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it did touch a nerve because it's like, okay, you see Batman as this figure that doesn't really show emotion, and then this one spot and this whole ordeal has really, he been holding it. So to have that interactive feel to it and be able to choose that what if, because everybody always wonder, well, what if Batman saved him? What would have happened? So to have that opportunity and chance to see it, I think it'd bring a lot of fans who didn't read the story or didn't see that movie a chance to retell it in a different light.
Brandi?
I guess it's cool in the sense of it gives people something to do. I'm not big on wanting to be a fan that has a say. And I heard when that first came out, the reason he died is because the fans voted on it. Yes. So I think that aspect is cool. Like, here's what we have. It can go this or that, and then we'll write the story from there. That's cool. I don't really have an interest in it now, only because it's not a fresh story or a concept. I cried during Under the Red Hood, and he doesn't have to say it, but I know I did. I was not prepared for that. Even though you already know, it's just one thing to see it, and the voice acting was great, and their DC animation is always, at least to me, very bomb. But yeah, that was rough. So if I chose a different path, I don't feel like the storyline would be as good. So that grief Bruce had and the resentment, well, spoiler, when certain people and things come back up and whatever else, like, it's not going to be the same if he didn't die.
Yeah. I am one of those ones who actually remember reading Death in the Family, or I didn't get that copy, but I got it years later. But I was alive when the news actually broke that fans had a chance to call this 800 number, not the nasty numbers; those are the 900s. But
that's a different.
That's a different number. The 800 numbers, and you got a chance to vote. And I remember, it finally happened, and they were just, oh, they're going to kill off Robin, which I thought was, as a kid, I thought that was nuts. But then, it's a character that carries on through other people carrying the name. And I didn't cry at Under the Red Hood, although it's quite the shame that Jensen Ackles is not playing the Red Hood on live action yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's cosplayed as Red Hood. He has done that. And let's face it, I got kind of a man crush on Jensen Ackles. For those who don't know, that's Dean from Supernatural. Like, I want his car.
Who doesn't want that car?
I want that damn car. And he's just this devil-may-care attitude, beer and burgers with no result, with no regret, living on the road. But yeah, it's a shame that we don't get that, Now
make that interactive. If they decided to say, hey, we're making this film or this TV show, this is who we narrowed it down. Who do the fans want? Do you know how much more viewership you would get if you let us vote on that type of stuff?
Yeah.
And we could be like, oh, y'all gonna bring Storm in? This is the Storm that we want. And then we'll watch it. You know what I mean? Like, I hope they maybe push that in the direction. I would like that to be the new normal. That way we're not pissed at why would you cast this person, because not everybody gives us that moment where it's like how I felt about Anne Hathaway when she was first cast as Catwoman. I was like, I know you fucking lying. And then I watched it and I was like, okay, I am not mad at this. You are an actor and this worked. Like, I was sold on it. But I also just have that person in my head where I'm like, they were the best. So you do that comparison thing.
And now it's funny you bring up like Storm. It's been talked about for
ever.
Yeah, forever, since the inception. Here is the take. Who is your favorite for Storm? Now I don't have my list in front of me, but
yeah,
there are some top. I have a top 3 or 4 actresses that I've seen that would really fit the bill.
I can tell you what I want is Beyonce, so I'm gonna put that out there.
No.
You said that's who you want?
I don't want Beyonce.
Oh, I was like, and I love Beyonce, but no.
Yeah. There's some lanes you need to stay in. Sorry, Queen Bey. Is not that one, not that one. But I think with that particular deal, that might have just been like a soundtrack situation. And
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
For sure, she'd probably be involved in that.
yeah,
But not, no, ma'am.
no,
There was a meme that was going around saying that Beyonce couldn't play Beyonce in the film.
yeah,
I'm like, she couldn't. So let's just leave that alone, and you just slay everything musically.
you're right.
I don't want you at store.
But,
I have people I wouldn't be like mad at, like Tika Sumter wouldn't be awful. But two girls that I thought about, one more recently, she's like the star in this show called Bubblegum, I want to say, or Chewing Gum.
Michaela.
I don't know her last. Yeah, but her face is just striking. She can actually act. I'm very pro, undeniably Black Storm. I don't want the white friendly Storm as far as aesthetics. I want to know she's Black. I don't want you to whitewash her, get the mixed girl. I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
But I liked Tara, the girl who played Tara in True Blood. I think she's a good actress. Yeah. She's in Queen Sugar now, and I think she's a good actress. I like her voice a lot because, of course, if you fell in love with Storm in the comics, her voice is what you say it is. But for me, when I got to see the cartoon show in the 90s, I'm like, this is Storm's voice.
Yeah.
Like, she sounds
very regal.
Very regal, very deep, commanding, and still calm. Like, her voice is a Storm, and I need somebody that can deliver that and not just sound like Jubilee or somebody. Like, I don't know.
The actress who plays the African god, the deity in American Gods, she is like she's on my top list because I'm like, well, she already plays an African love god, and she has that commanding presence. Why not? Let's give her some meat. And I think that's the one thing that's always bothered me about their live action Storm. They won't give her it. In Apocalypse, they gave her the accent, but no disrespect to Alexandria Shipp, but she wasn't the Storm I wanted. They gave her an accent, and Apocalypse gave her the white hair, but I was still disappointed with that. And I'm like, you were so close, but you just didn't cross it over yet. You didn't really give the fan the true service. You're just saying, oh, we're just going to give her, she's from Cairo, she's this, and she has this accent. Yeah, she has the accent, but she's dark, and you caught it. Yeah, you caught her at a time where she's an orphan and she's a pickpocket. And yes, that's her background, but you didn't give us any more than that.
Right.
And you wasted the character. Thank God Disney and Marvel teamed up, and they're getting all that stuff back. Just don't. And I trust it in their hands. They're not going to rush anything. They're just like they.
I don't think anybody's in a rush for another X-Men anything anytime soon. And I'm
true.
okay. I'm okay with having a break, letting some stuff just breathe for a minute, and then you come back to us with something different, and then just adding more depth to carry a lot of characters. Because I still would like them to go deeper with people like Beast or just so many other people other than the same kind of stories we get over and over again.
Yeah. So guess who just premiered this week? The Umbrella Academy season 2.
I season 1.
I am actually on episode 5. It's it's a really good show. Number one, it's very convoluted with everything that's going on because once again these kids are trapped in a time where another apocalypse is happening. I don't know what it is about people in the apocalypse.
So that's the gist of the show. Because I watched the trailer and I did it like I do everything else. I'm gonna put it in the queue. But when I looked at the promo pictures for season 2, I was like, are they in a different?
They're in a different time. They're stuck in 1963, and it's 10 days away from when President Kennedy is getting shot.
Oh.
And so there's still a lot of other storyline that's going on. You have them. You have one of the siblings who wants to stop the shooting of President Kennedy. You have another one who figures out that if they stop it, they change the entire timeline, and the apocalypse comes even further. And then, like, the one who actually can time skip and everything, which they call him 5, When he shows up, he sees the Soviets invading America. Like, he's right in the middle of the war, and that's never happened. So that's why he's trying to stop it. Everybody has a reason why they're trying to stop the apocalypse, but everybody has a different story as to why it's coming.
Oh gosh, that's interesting. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I probably need to watch that a little sooner rather than
Yeah. It's
amazing.
good. It's good. We're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to do a famous segment that I just created. And pop culture history. I love it.
Sorry.
And,
World on 2 days.
and we'll come back from that in this break right after this. Make sure to listen to Blurred's Eye View with your host Chris G on any of your favorite outlets, including Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to visit our website at blackgamuttentertainment.com and get the latest on news on our podcast, giveaways, and contests. That's Black Gamut Entertainment, GAMUT Entertainment.com. And thank you for listening. Welcome back to Blurred's Eye View. I'm your host, Chris G, and my co-host, Darius DC Chambers, and we have a special guest here, Brandi Blocker. Do you know what has happened on today?
I know you're going to tell me.
Oh, yeah. So this is a new segment that I have. It's called On This Day in Pop Culture History. On this day in pop culture history. And on this day on pop culture history, August 1st, in 1963, Journey into Mystery number 97, Surtur Ymir, Boar, and the Frost Giants, as well as the World Tree in the realms of Jotunheim and all the stuff that Thor knows, was introduced in the Tales of Asgard. It was a backup story by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Also, in Tales of Astonish number 49, Hank Pym became the Giant Man for the first time. In 1967, the Psycho Man debuted in the Fantastic Four Annual number 5 by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. In 1968, issue 107 featured one of the favorite Kirby covers that also introduced the nefarious mind-meddling villain, Dr. Faustus, and also, let's go over here. We have at least 2 favorite films that debuted in theaters on August 1st. And the first one is a little film I have always loved, Death Becomes Her, starring Bruce Willis, Meryl Streep, and Goldie Hawn.
Classic.
That is actually it's 28-year anniversary, and there's talk of a reboot. Well, not a reboot, but a remake. And let's face it, that film really stands out. That is really.
They do a remake. You already know her daughter got to play her.
Yeah, that. Oh God, that is a great film. And our favorite ragtag spacefaring group, Guardians of the Galaxy, first premiered on August 1st. And that is what's happening in the pop culture history on August 1st. So
I'm not mad at that little segment. See, I thought you were going to say something like Stoop Kid left his stoop. Or I was like, what are you about to say? What happened today?
and on a side note, something else that actually happened on August 1st. In 1986, Howard the Duck debuted in theaters. And it was shot here in Cleveland.
Oh my God.
Yes. Poor Howard.
Wow.
Poor Howard. He didn't get real just due until the first Guardians movie.
Yeah, I was like, because that was 80s and early 90s films were like, they were a mess, but they were like a great mess. Because I've watched some films where I'm like, you could never do that now. They just like Weird Science, Mannequin. Those movies don't age well. Because when you watch it now, you're like, is that appropriate? Do we need?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can't really get that one off.
It's so bad.
Human and duck romance, or it implying it just sounds really weird. You don't want it. It's some things you just don't want to touch.
No.
So, this is our Q&A section. So, This is for you, Brandi.
Okay.
What? Yes, the lovely Brandi Blocker. What started you in cosplay?
Now I feel like, should I give them like a fake answer or the real shit? Fake answer. I just really like costumes and playing dress up. Real shit. I moved here after a messy divorce from Florida, and I'm just trying to like start over. And I remember we moved here in October 2013. We're getting ready for Halloween. I've always liked Halloween, but that year I was like, I'm gonna go all out. And I dressed up as Gamora, my son's Rocket. It's the cutest. And I remember coming back home and just being like, I never want to take this costume off. I feel more like myself when I have a mask on, when I'm dressed up as someone else. As weird as that sounds, I feel like cosplayers understand it. I just feel like my power level is over 9,000 when I'm dressed as someone that I admire or love. So probably a couple months later, I realized WizardCon was coming, and I was just looking it up on the internet, and I literally like Googled, how can I have or celebrate Halloween every day? Something along that line, something really stupid. And then cosplay stuff started coming up, which is so weird that I never got into it while I grew up overseas. But since we were on a military base and it was just kind of different what you experience, especially being in Japan, I just had never heard of it or seen it. And now when I look at the stuff that people do overseas and in Russia and a lot of times here too, it is an amazing art and community to be around. And it just made me like feel more confident in myself. It was something I could say, well, this is mine and I'm not doing this because it's what I'm supposed to do for my husband or what my kid wants me to do. Because I don't know if you guys have ever been married or maybe even like anyone listening gone through a really bad breakup. If you make your whole life that person or situation, it's hard to find out, well, what do I like? What am I good at? And at that time, I just thought a wife and being a mom is what I like and good at. And then it was like, no, bitch, you can make wings. you can do makeup. You turn yourself into a whole different creature. And I'm like, this is talented. It's a way for me to get this energy off me. And I just loved it. So I'm like, this is my baby. That's why I cosplay, because I feel like an unstoppable goddess when it's cosplay time. Like, love it.
What was your worst or hardest cosplay, or both?
I'm probably gonna sound really conceited, but I ain't had no worst cosplay. All my shit is fire.
I will admit,
I don't know if I saw the pictures, but
I've seen your pictures. I've been following you for a couple of years, and I gotta say, for those who don't know, follow her Facebook page. She is an amazing cosplayer. She makes it look, between you and Tranquil Ashes and Purple Stargazer cosplay, and it's tons of other female cosplayers I've seen. You guys make it look flawless. I don't know how you guys do it. Being a male cosplayer, we always, I don't know if you've ever had those moments where you're like, whew, I got to stay up a little late and finish this off because the convention is tomorrow or it's 2 days from now and I just don't have time to do anything else. I have to do that. So you always have that moment of, but have you ever had the moment where you've done the cosplay, you've premiered it at the convention, you've done it for 8 hours, you've been on your feet for 8 hours, and you're just like, I can't wait to get these shoes off. I can't wait to get this gear off my back because I'm sweating like crazy.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Like, plenty of times. Because I probably make it look easy. Because normally when I cosplay, I use the term close to body. So the majority of the costume won't be anything too bulky or too much unless I have wings or something on my head. Everything else will be close to the body. So when I first did the beat up version of Selena Kyle from Batman Returns, at the end, I realized very quickly, this is a costume where you're not peeing for 6 hours and there's baby powder and deodorant all over the place. I'm sweating in areas I didn't know I could sweat, but you're going off that high. People loving the outfit. They want to take your pictures. So between cosplaying that and then when I did Ariel, before I even knew they cast Holly Bailey to do Ariel. So this was probably the year prior. And the way that tail I had set up and the bra, it was just so many sequins and beads rubbing in wrong places. And when you have props you're holding, so I have like Flounder, I have my Triton, I have Sebastian, and that was like, okay, I was here like probably an hour and I was ready to get out of the costume. So those two, they kill me every time. Those are going to be far and in between ones for sure.
Now, I was explaining to Darius before you came on that we had been following each other on social media for some time, and it was such a funny story because we were both at Cleveland at the Cleveland Con or Wizard World Cleveland this year, and I didn't see you until I was actually walking out the door, getting ready to leave. My battery on my camera had died, so I was like, "Well, I got all the footage I wanted." I'm walking out the door, and I see someone dressed as Penguin, and it was a kick-ass penguin. And she was dancing to Britney Spears.
Yes, my Lord and Savior. Yes.
And her girlfriends could not stop her from dancing. She was in her own zone. And I got a picture of her. And then I get home and I'm setting my gear up and I'm getting ready to download all my pictures and everything. And I see a picture from Brandi and saying, "Oh, Wizard World Cleveland in the books." And she puts a picture up and it's the picture of the penguin. I'm like, "That was you?" Yeah. Like, we actually crossed paths for the first time and didn't know it was each other. And
that's what made it funny when you told me, because that's not the first time I've had like a guy say, "Well, it seems like we're going to the same con, but I don't see you." And it's always funny because you're like, "Well, how would you know it's me?" Right? Like, yeah. If someone's got a helmet,
that just meant it was a really good cosplay. Yeah. You know.
So I was happy when you said that because I'm just like, "Oh my God, yes!" So to answer your question from earlier, that has to be my favorite because I just, like, if you guys want to see pictures, you can follow me on IG is better. It's just, "Oh, so you're Brandi with an I. And you're spelled the right way, you guys, R-E. But you know how people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have never felt like sexier in a cosplay. And for me to do the Playboy Ivy, to do Catwoman, who use their sexuality, you know, to get what they want, so you're embodying that. There was just something about doing that gender bend on Penguin where I was like, I feel so badass. This is so much fun. So that was my favorite. I hope to keep messing with prosthetics and fake blood and some contact maybe. I really want to do some more gender bends too.
Yeah, those are always fun to see, whether a guy does it or whether a female does it. And Night Mage, he did Storm. And I did an interview with him and we were talking. And I said, and I told the audience, I said, "Now that's not saying that you'll see me dressed as Black Panther and Night Mage is Storm and we're cosplaying duo." And he's like, "Well, you never know nowadays, you know." I said, "Well, yeah, you don't."
You don't.
So,
but he does a great job. And he really did a Rocky Horror one not too long ago.
Oh yeah,
like, your legs look better than mine. I wouldn't want to try. I wouldn't want to try. Have you seen his legs? Like.
The guy works out big time. He works out big time.
Man, it's not skip leg day. I'm like, good grief. He is on it. I'm like, I feel bad. I will say this though. I feel bad for male cosplayers because Night Mage, he's a perfect example of someone who does, to me, above and beyond extraordinary movie quality work. Mm-hmm. And this is not to down anybody cosplays, but I've seen some girls in next to nothing and they have a red wig and it's just like, you know, I'm this person. And I'm like, you barely did anything. And this has, you know, this many likes and or they get endorsements easier because unfortunately sex sells. So I feel bad for the men in the community because a lot of times you guys are covered up and there's just not that same and exposure for you guys. And I'm like, this is a hard hobby. It's an expensive hobby.
It's very expensive.
You guys don't get enough props for what you pull together. I admire it and I love seeing it in person. And I'm careful about people's personal space too, because one thing I learned at these things, some people don't know how to properly ask you for a picture or say they like your costume without touching you. So I try to extend that same grace to a man. Like, I don't want to just be like, I like your wings. And it's just gross. No.
Well, see, you speak about women and their sexuality and how they're using it in cosplay, or how you feel empowered, which leads us to the main topic of our show, which is female empowerment in comics, film, and cosplay, as well as television, obviously. And you've already touched on some of the stuff, and you've already mentioned, you know, if you're not listening, people, she's a weed night. And I am as well. So I appreciate that you enjoy and love Buffy, because I love the hell out of Buffy. I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I'm a huge Zoe Washburn fan from Fire or from from Firefly and Serenity. So which is the other Joss Whedon show. I love Gina Torres, who seems to consistently work with Joss Whedon and when he was bringing all the shows out. So we talk about women in comics. We'll start there. And I know during the 90s, they would have these insane poses for some of the women in comics, poses that if you asked a woman in real life to make this pose, they will probably need a chiropractor right afterwards. I've always had an issue with Misty Knight in the beginning in the 70s was great. She was the detective. She was about her business. But then somewhere in the 90s, they started like really risque clothing. She's a SHIELD agent, and they have her like in the most risque clothing, push-up bra and everything's popping out. And I'm like, but meanwhile, you have Nick Fury in full battle gear, and all she has is a metal arm. I don't get it. But
and I'm like, you're one hell of a fighter when you don't need no arm.
Yeah, and nothing's popping out.
What is that? Not a titty pop out, not nothing. And I've never understood. I've never even seen nobody fight like that.
Yeah, so I've always had it, especially with like characters like not a character. I never had a problem with Misty Knight as a character. I've just always had a problem with how they portray them in an almost sexual way. But Misty has shown, and I'm glad that they show her now more like in a red jumpsuit or something like that. I call it a speed suit. I keep thinking of the Venture Brothers. But
which is also a great show.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. And
that's a cosplay. That's from a list.
Oh yeah, the speed suit, the Venture Brothers speed suit. And I would love to see more females, and I think they're coming to that point now. Where they're expressing them more in a more stronger role, right, without showing off. You're showing off sexuality, but you're showing it on a way like it's more respectable. Like, perfect example, when you see Angela Bassett come on the screen, not only is she fine, but she's fierce and right, she's strong and she's not taking any crap from anybody. And you
respect her.
Yeah.
But I think that culture just comes from, unfortunately, the writers and who they're catering to when they do write. And all that just stems from how society is and how we treat women and their sexuality. A lot of that just gets pushed through what we see on TV, what goes into these comic books. And it also makes sense that, let's say if we got 80% of the people that are illustrating these iconic images of women in comics are men, what do men like to see? What do we find attractive? What is appropriate for them to do? It's kind of a patriarchy controlling all of this. And then we fall into this kind of, and it's such a weird, crazy age, but we fall into this, well, we want to be liked and we want to be attractive. So who do you act like? You act like this person or this character, or always kind of a weird version of Marilyn Monroe where you're sexy, but you can't be too sexy on these little areas or else you won't get respected. And most women won't even like, even if we know it's wrong, we won't even like the girl who we can't say is the sexy one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you won't end up wanting to be her or dress up like her. And there's also a reason why you're always going to see those same type of women cosplay. You're always going to see a Catwoman, a Harley Quinn with hardly any clothes on. Is that keeps going? Yeah. I'm like, the one I remember seeing had a whole ass suit on up to here. And yeah, she was busting wide open in splits and doing all that, but she was acrobatic. Like, it was never what it is now. And I don't understand that push, but if it's selling and that's what the people want, they're just going to keep doing that.
Yeah. What do you think, Darius?
I think what it stemmed from, because you got to remember, like, back in the 70s, there was women's rights and all that and the voting. And somehow in the 80s, it got away from that. And it was like these big top-heavy women, top-heavy women, small legs, didn't really say much, didn't have a thought process, but they was always out front. And I think now and today, we're getting to that point to where we already know women are fierce. We've known this we've known this throughout all time. But with the Me Too movement and things like that, it's starting to be where women are being respected, not only in cosplay and all that, but they're starting to be shown in a better light. and given that chance to really show what they can do. And I'm all for that. I didn't really like the whole top heavy Betty Boot looking type things. It didn't seem real because like you said, you have Misty Knight with one arm, no metal on, but she got like a halter top on. And it's like, how is that practical? Like that's not even
Yes.
Yeah.
good for war. Like that no man knows that that's how you fight.
Oh
Like
yeah. And even seeing like I like when Facebook artists will show maybe like it was a calendar of Marvel men, but in pinup girl poses.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
so you can see that, and then you don't realize how ridiculous it looks. Or when somebody took the time to upload a video, and I want to say it was Arkham Asylum, and Bruce is acting and walking just like Selena was, and you realize how. I didn't even realize how sexual every little thing was until he's doing all this,
The
and there's all these.
sway.
He's giving a good speech, but then y'all just did a shot right to his ass, or right, you know what I mean? Like these unnecessary shots that I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you also mentioned, and now that was just in the comics. Now you've also mentioned that you've seen some, and we both have, at various conventions, how you have the scantily clad female, and you have this whole people taking pictures without their consent, and
Yeah.
you know, now I wouldn't say, well, some may have been appropriately touched, but touching them without checking with them, you know, like you said, touching somebody's wings or something.
Yeah.
What do you think? For those who don't know, explain to the audience the proper conduct when you're at a convention. Just
For me, like convention etiquette would definitely be, and people might understand this more now that we got to do the 6 feet thing, but just personal space. Like be very aware of when you're in somebody's personal space, because even sometimes when people are talking to you, you ever have someone speak to you and you realize they're kind of closer than what they need to be to talk to you, and they don't even realize that they're not doing it maliciously, but you don't know what type of anything someone's been through. I unfortunately have like trauma from abuse, so I sometimes get a little sensitive if someone comes up out of nowhere. And it's like, just be aware of personal space. When I do take a picture with someone, I never want to be awkward where I'm just kind of leaning in. I'll do a pose. I'll ask if I can touch you, depending on the character I am. I'll make that okay. You just kind of got to follow the flow of the person. So I would always ask. No one's ever going to be mad at you for asking, can I have a picture? Is it okay if I put my hand on your waist or shoulder? Does this make you uncomfortable? Just, to me, common courtesy ahead of being so excited. You see this person dressed like this that they turn into little boys. I just seen it happen over and over again. They just turn little boys, and we have to control that, which is hard sometimes as a woman, because you have to work on how you correct a man and say no, because you don't know how he's going to act.
mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be followed out of a convention or worried about myself while I'm in there. So you're always trying to play that game. But for other people, just ask and keep asking. We're never going to be mad at that.
I agree. I totally agree. I remember I was working Mid-Ohio Con, and Elijah Dusko was there. And, you know, I have a penchant for, I shave my head bald constantly. You know, I've been shaving my beard for the past several months, but at that time, I had the typical beard and mustache. And the gear that they had you wear was a yellow shirt and blue jeans. So here I am, a 280-pound guy, looking like Luke Cage. Not on purpose. It's just I had jeans, and I was like, well, I got to wear this shirt so I can keep people in line and whatever. And here it is, Elijah Dusko, who looks like she's about maybe 5'1" at best, you know, and she's around her handlers, and I'm hanging in the back, and I'm actually getting ready to go to my hotel room, and I just happen to be behind her, and they thought I was her bodyguard. And you know, at the time, I'm like, maybe I should have just rolled with it.
Okay.
But, you know, I was like, man, I'm tired. I got to get to the hotel room. I got to get this stuff done. And my foot was killing me. So, yeah, you know, there are people, there are creeps. I even witnessed a woman down there. She was dressed as a character from one of the Resident Evil games.
Ooh.
And it was a great looking costume. And I asked her, could I take her picture? And the most she had was a little cheek hanging out. That was the most. But I noticed there was a gentleman there. Well, that's using that term loosely. Using that term loosely. But the way he was gawking her and, just kind of around her, I was gauging him. And I said, let me see if I can interrupt it by asking her, can I have a picture?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in the picture. I wanted to just take her picture. So I was doing a double-edged sword thing. I was making sure she was okay. I don't even know her, but I seen what was happening, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't look right.
Right.
It doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. Something needs to be said or done because somebody else may not pick up on it.
Right.
And so that's what I did, and I noticed after I did it, and he seen me, big guy, he kind of stepped off. So it's those type of things, when you see people at conventions, and this is just with anyone, to take the time to respect their personal space. You don't know what they've gone through. You don't know, especially the women, you don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they've gone through. This might be their release. This might be their moment of, letting themselves be free or, not be so reserved. Whether
Right.
it's scantily clad or not, this is that interaction. You might cause this person to revert, kind of sink in. I've heard and read so many stories, in the cosplay community about it, because it's truly a great community. But as most great communities, there's also a dark side, and this is that dark side.
Right.
And we have to, like you said, we have to respect each other. We have to respect those places. And if you see something, and I'm speaking strictly to the guys, if you see something wrong, whenever we do get back to normal and we get to conventions again, if you see something normal, and this is just in any general area, act accordingly.
Right.
Step in. You don't know how that's making that person feel. So try to casually, you don't have to be the hero and be like Gaston and show off. No, you don't have to do all of that. You just have to be cordial. Be the gentleman.
Right.
And, hey, do you need me to walk with you? Do you need me to such and such? And,
And we're never going to be like mad at that. So it's nice when you feel like men there see you as an ally and something to be protected. Because I know that's a big thing going on right now, but especially with women of color. And we're not always viewed as things that need to be protected because we are been portrayed in like a harder light.
Yeah.
So it's like, we got it. You don't have to worry about us. And I'm like, oh no, if somebody is eyeing me and just because I'm dressed this way does not mean that I'm here for this. And it is a double-edged sword because there's some people that I would love to cosplay, but do that kind of cosplay where it's like very by the book. Like there's plenty of Mortal Kombat characters where I'm like, Melina is on the list and I want to do like a fierce Melina because I liked seeing girls that I thought were pretty and still sexy, but they were killing people. They were strong. They were scary. Her fatalities were ridiculous.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. But I'm also like, I'd have to prepare myself knowing if you're going to basically be in this string bikini and a prosthetic on your face, this is probably what you're going to get from people. And some of them don't feel bad about it because they're like, you basically shouldn't address that way. You should expect this. You know what I mean? And it's like, I can expect something, but still require respect and distance and you not being like giving me rapey vibes. No, you don't enjoy yourself at a convention when you feel like something's going to happen to you at maybe one of the parties or because they have a lot of those. I've yet to go to one. Have you been to like the party?
I've heard the stories. I have yet to go to one. Well, I don't know if you ever gone to Carolyn John's when they have to, well, they didn't have it this year, obviously, but they normally have their free comic book day. They throw a couple parties throughout the year. Oh, and their free comic book day is basically a night party. They shut down the shop at 7. They reopen up at 8. They give out the free books. They have a specialty. They always have like 2 specialty beers made by local breweries and.
I am old. What is this? Give me that plug.
I'm gonna text you the information. And
run that. You want to go to that.
Yeah, and I mean this thing goes from 8 to midnight sometimes, and it closes down at midnight. But people kind of hang out, exchange information. You have local artists, local writers. The last one we had, which was last year, Jim Steranko was a special guest. He started getting like these really high profile
That
guests
is
to come in the
really
past.
cool.
Yeah, and this year he planned on having Chris Claremont come in. And so he's had to readjust because of obviously COVID and everything. So he's hoping to bring him in sometime in November, but we're waiting to hear how that turns out. But it's a big event, for local Clevelanders. There was a time I stayed in Columbus for about 6 months, and I still came up here for that party, And I was like, I'm not missing this party, And I know in the last year there was a young lady who came, and she's known in the cosplay community. But what we didn't know, that there was another gentleman that she dealt with on a romantic level, and there were some bad things that happened. Well, she obviously felt uncomfortable, and it was me and several friends, and we call ourselves the Scoobies, named after
That's
Josh
adorable.
Whedon. Yeah. So the first thing we all said was like, well, we're all here, so don't, we're just stick around us. We're fine. You're fine. If you need us, one of us this is about 7 of us. So if you need one of us, we're around. We're just around, And we just kept an eye on everything, like the guys that was working the store, they kept an eye out, And the person that was there, they kind of, did a pop in and a pop out. I guess they found out that, the word had got out like, yeah, he's a bad guy. He's no good. He's, been
Yeah, you should
abusive.
feel ashamed and get the hell out of it.
And he did not stick around no more than an hour. I think and this is a huge crowd. So I think once he found out, he was just like, I'm out of here. Yeah, you might want to go, So it's those type of things. And I appreciate the crowd or the people who want to do that. And like you mentioned, it's so much different for women of color. They're yes, black women are extremely strong, but that doesn't mean we leave them to the wayside.
Right.
Because of that strength.
We're included in it. And that's why I like that you guys even have named this bird's eye view, because I just think it's always important to push that, hey, we're a part of this community. I feel that way with my friends who are trans, who identify as whatever. I'm kind of cool with everybody, and I just think that's because of growing up a military brat and moving all the time. You find your tribe where you're at. So I end up being cool with everybody, but I noticed over and over again, whether it's in that community or whether it's in this community, we're always fighting for our place. And we're essentially, as a race, saying, well, me too, us too. Yeah. We're included in this too. We can be these characters too. And when we're these characters, sometimes I just prefer to be that character. I'm not the black version of that character, or I'm not the ghetto version of it, because they tore me a new one in a couple of groups over my black Ariel. And what made it even worse is I was roasting them back by roasting myself better than what they were. Because I'm like, if you can't even joke on me right, like I can't.
like you're failing at playing the dozens right now.
So bad. They were saying stuff like, I didn't know that Ariel was on welfare, and he spelled welfare wrong. But I was like, speaking about like aquatic life, it would have been funnier to say whalefare.
Yeah,
so,
like, you can't even work the
They
angle.
can't even work it. I was like, you guys are mad for no reason. It would be different if I looked a whole ass mess. That's one thing about cosplays. I think because I naturally like the wigs and the makeup and thrift shopping and jewelry, I find ways to make stuff look way better than like how much it actually costs, just to have the aesthetic right. So I'm like, typically I come correct, so I don't have any cosplays I've been ashamed of. I'll notice the difference in quality and effort as I keep doing this, but I've never had one where I'm like, this ain't hot. I don't look like it. Even when I take like the base and maybe decide, the first time I did Poison Ivy, the main outfit came from like Amazon, and it was some Party City version of it or whatever.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, I want to add this. I want to do my own wig, and I lost some of my eyebrows that year, but it was worth it.
When you cosplay, there's always something that you
maybe
lose.
That was the first time where I was like, I'm really about this life, because goddamn, this on the inside, there was nothing. It was literally any type of business. I was like, but look how cool I look in the pictures, guys. I just had the pictures to show for losing it. But yeah, just kind of having to push our way through in every community just to be seen and then have our work respected. Because I think what you guys are doing on this podcast is great, and it should be seen and respected. And what we do in the cosplay community should be just seen and respected for what it is, and not looked at as second or third tier outside of what our, you know,
Aesthetic
other,
is, yeah.
right.
So we've touched on the comics and how female empowerment is shown in comics. We've touched on female empowerment in cosplay. With movies like Captain Marvel, with characters like Shuri showing up, and the talk of Storm, where do you see it? Well, number one, why so much hate for like films like Captain Marvel? Me and Darius spoke. I don't know why there's so much hate. I enjoy Captain Marvel. She's a badass. She's a badass in the book, no matter how you feel about her. But she's a badass. And you have characters like that. You have characters like Shuri, who is shown to be this one of the smartest women in the Marvel universe, especially in the MCU. She's on par with Tony Stark, if not better. And
Thanks for a Dino Girl, right?
Yeah. You know, you have these characters who are being shown in film, women of color, or just women, period, being empowered, showing, hey, we can handle this. You know, right. I've rewatched Endgame twice in the past 2 days because just watching Carol come in and they're just like, at that scene, she busts through the ship and I'm like, thank God she showed up, you know?
Yeah, right. Little stress.
I was like, oh, because it was getting stressful for a minute, and when everybody showed up, I was good, but then she shows up and I was like, thank God, you know, she's here. You know, so what do you feel about, you know, that realm of female empowerment finally, I guess it's saying, being recognized, which is probably the worst term to use right now, but it's been around. Like, if you're in the pop culture universe, pop culture circle, we've always seen it. You know, we've seen, like I mentioned Buffy earlier. I mentioned Zoe Washburn and Kaylee from Firefly. You know, I've mentioned these characters in River, and I've mentioned these characters where they, and it's funny, in like the scene in Serenity where Captain Reynolds calls herself coming to save Anara, and she's like, I didn't need saving. I was just giving you a warning, you know, and it was saying like, look, I could have took care of this myself, you know, but
it might be people bucking against the status quo, because it's rough when you're used to people staying in a certain place, and that's how we like the story told, and we're okay with seeing the same middle-aged white guy over and over again say the word. We're fine with that. But as soon as you start to switch style up, it's like, ill no, this is going against what we normally like, and I'm not sure we're really ready for that. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are bucking against it, even women, because they're not even sure you're ready for it, because you've been programmed and you don't know it. You've just been programmed to like something, and it's not really what you like. It's what you were taught was acceptable and what's supposed to be right. And I think that what makes the nerd community so unique is, for the most part, especially when you're a blurred, you decided for yourself a long time ago, I know I'm not going to fit in and fit boxes all the time, and I'm fine with that, and I define for myself what's cool for me to look like, what's cool for me to watch and do. That's not the majority of everybody else. So it makes sense that they buck. And for Captain Marvel, I think it was a little, I think there's layers to why people didn't respond to that properly, because I'm not going to lie, I thought the movie was just all right. It's not that I have an issue with the character. I just thought the movie was cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I wanted it to be longer or, you know, more scenes in different planets. I don't know what I wanted, but it just didn't give me everything I wanted. Whereas Wonder Woman, I felt like I got everything I wanted and some, mm-hmm. especially when she was walking across no man's land. I was like, I am no, like, it's just, It was like a Lord of the Rings moment where it's like, bam, not a man, bitch, pow.
Right.
Like, it's so exciting as a female to see that, and you're just like, fuck yeah. And then at the end of the day, we can also be like, because we're vain, people don't want to admit it, but we like the aesthetic. We can be like, you're cute. That's, and I feel like that's why, who she's played by Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. Yep.
Aesthetically stunning, but then you can act in the way you act that Wonder Woman, where I'm like, I know you can kick somebody's ass, but you're also naive and confused about other customs. She just played it so well, and I think we want to see multifaceted women, as far as the actors and as far as the character. And I think the only thing that kind of missed the mark was Captain Marvel. It's not that I wanted her to have like a love interest or a story or anything like that. I just felt like I wanted.
There was something missing. There was. I mean, it's not a horrible movie. It was not a horrible movie. It was. And see, I've watched it several times. I noticed the sound level is a little low. I don't know if it's not it's not punched up enough.
Yeah.
It's
And then when the only
something.
time I got like super hyped is when I think I'm Just a Girl from Gwen Stefani came on during the
Yeah.
fight scene toward the end, and I was like, shit, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I was feeling it in that moment, and I'm like, but I wanted to feel this maybe 30 minutes into the film, and I wasn't feeling this, oh, I can't wait for you, and I'm rooting for you. And I don't know what was missing from that, but from the majority of everything we've mentioned and what I've seen so far, from what they do produce, although it's not enough, I like that feeling, because it took like 20 years for Black Widow, and I'm like, y'all know y'all wrong as hell for how y'all wrote
Yeah.
this.
You wait till after she dies, you know?
And then the way you even killed her, I couldn't care like I wanted to. Like a moment in that film that made me almost cry was when she's eating the sandwich and she's about to cry.
Yeah.
And
You've
I
never
was just
seen her
like,
broken.
girl, I
You've
felt
never
that
seen her
too
broken.
before. I'm like, I have had situations where you up there eating some shit and you're just like, I'm either going to have a breakdown right now, I'm going to force myself through this. So to see that type of struggle from her in the beginning, I was like, this is what I wanted as far as content, but spread out through this 10 plus year span of making all these movies. And y'all didn't give her enough of that. Like, I knew she was going to come through and be cute and kick ass, but after a while, I'm like, you know,
that was a really strong scene. And what I think what really touched on it is, and I know exactly what you're talking about, where she just basically had the group meeting, the hologram meeting with everybody.
Yeah, it was so great.
And she finds out about her best friend, you know, still out there doing his thing, and you know, they can't find him, and she's like, okay, we've lost half our team. I almost died. I have no idea where it happens to everybody else. I don't know where Hawkeye is. I don't know if he's dead or alive. And then Cap comes in, and instead of doing the whole let me hug you, let me hold you, embrace like it's okay, he nailed it perfectly how he checks on her. And he's like, are you okay? And then he just kind of leaves it at that. And it's basically like, when she's ready to say it, she'll say it.
Right.
You know, and I've seen that moment before where she, you know, where any woman, you know, it was the weight. And like, she's got to lead this team, and the weight of the world, or what's left of it, is on her shoulders.
Right.
And, you know, and it was very.
And then not to be able to go into that as confident as you want. Because we've just seen how well they've acted this throughout the years. And there's always been an era of, shit, we may die, but let's go do this. You know, there's still kind of like this hope about it. So to have that moment where I'm like, I feel like you feel hopeless. Like, I don't know what the fuck we're about to do right now. And I loved seeing that, because that added another layer to her. That way, again, she's not just somebody that I'm expected to see every once in a while coming in here, but there's no more meat to you. And now you give her the solo film. And I'm like, you could have gave us this, and a million other chicks could have branched off had y'all did this right. Because unfortunately, it's one of those things where it's like how it was for DC, where we knew you better nail Wonder Woman, because you
have been stumbling, and it took a woman to save what they had.
Like, so good. And I had heard, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but you can tell me. I heard there was a debate in one of the many nerd groups I'm in, and they were saying that they felt like Joker, that Joaquin Phoenix just did, should surpass and count as like one of the DC rollout films in, you know, the universe. And I was like, well, I feel like those are different things in different realms, although I understand where you're trying to say, hey, since we have these two great ones, we in there, or whatever, as far as the film content. But I'm like, that was a film. Yeah. I don't even want to put that in a superhero realm or villain thing. I'm like, that was a film. That's something I feel like psych students should watch. That's a film.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of these feel-good fillers. I just want to see the live-action version of my favorite hero. That was a heart-breaking film. So, did you guys feel similar, or how was that?
Well, Darius, I'll let you take that one. I'll go after that.
I haven't seen the Joker.
Never. This is over.
No. What I meant to say was
I thought you lying.
Yeah, is what I meant to say. That Was there was a lot of stuff on my docket. See, Marvel Agents of Shield is ending, so that has taken a lot of my time, and I'm slowly dying inside because I know I have 2 episodes left before I have nothing left in my existence.
Which is
Aw.
why I haven't watched this last episode yet. I'm holding it.
I'm tearing up a little bit because I've watched this show from Inception, but that was not the question. I think the Wonder Woman film is the saving grace for what DC have done, because me and Chris has talked about this a while. Superman Returns was a gigantic flop in the eyes of setting up their run at their Justice League, because they had all that planned out, and when Superman Returns crashed, they had to scrap everything and restart. Superman, with Henry Cavill was good. Batman vs Superman was convoluted, and I got lost in many places. But Wonder Woman in that movie kind of saved it. And Wonder Woman by herself, that story was done right. Like, that's how origin story for DC should have been done from the beginning. We've gotten Batman so many times where we've seen his parent die. We know how the story goes.
Over and over again.
We know how Superman's story ends. We know how it goes. But Wonder Woman, it was a fresh take on, like, we knew she was from this island, but we never, got to see it. So visually, it was great. Gail was amazing. Like, she was fierce. She trained hard, and you could tell she took this role seriously. And for me, I don't think there's nothing else that should be a door opener but that movie. That movie, it should set their standard going forward on what they should do to try to bring these characters together.
Right.
The Joker is a villain. I don't really need him. I've seen his story 50 times. He gets dropped in acid. He comes out crazy.
That's exactly how it happens. Yeah, just like
he does a lot of messed up stuff, and then him and Batman have this weird relationship where they don't want to kill each other, but they love each other, but they hate each other.
that's called being married. That's marriage.
So it's just Wonder Woman was that tone setter to me, and that's just, I don't think there's nothing else that they can do better than that other than copy that. Well, not copy it, but kind of stick with that formula, because they won with that one.
Oh no, you had it right. Just copy that baby and give us another character, and we'll be very happy, because it was so good.
Pretty much, because it was a win, and it was a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
And they doubled down thinking it was going to fail. That was the amazing thing. Myself, I am a big fan of Wonder Woman. I had a crush on Linda Carter when I was a kid, and I still do. And she's like 68, 69. She still looks great. She still even has the bracelets. She showed that on Twitter.
Okay, then.
And so, seeing Gal Gadot in this film, I can put it to you as best as this: in Justice League, Aquaman said it perfectly. He says, "You're fierce, you're beautiful, and oof." Like, you couldn't put it any more better than that. And here he was sitting on the lasso, but he told the truth, and that's how it was. She's beautiful, she's fierce, and she thinks her stuff through. She doesn't go barging into the situation,
Right.
And I love that Patty Jenkins brought that to light. And I mean, there were so many firsts for that movie. First time for DC to have that female-led director film. First time female-led DC film. First time on film. Theatrical release, and it made tons of money, and people wanted it so bad that the people who were saying, "Oh, she won't make money. Oh, nobody cares about Wonder Woman," were completely wrong. Even the studios didn't have faith in it, and that's the scary thing. I'm like,
they were writing reviews before the film even came out, scathing opinion reviews, and I'm like, nothing even dropped. I couldn't imagine being the star carrying this and trying to stay optimistic in interviews, because you guys are shredding this before it even comes out, because you're just picking apart. And that's what I can't stand about the super fanboys that'll pick apart a trailer and they're just like, "Oh, this is gonna be trash." I'm like, you took a screenshot from a 1:37-second trailer and decided that this is trash.
Yeah,
that is so toxic. It's so awful. So why don't you write it? You write it and you fund it and you do it better. You do it better.
I agree. As far as the Joker, which I've seen it several times, it should be a standalone. It was a great film,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I don't need more of it.
Right.
But because it was set in a different tone, and it's not set in this universe of superheroes. There were some twists and turns that you're just like, oh, that's why he does that. Oh, I get it now. Not so much sympathetic, but you get it. And I don't need more. Like, they're talking about doing a sequel. I'm like, why would you do a sequel?
Right.
Leave it where it is and walk
It was
away.
not already oversaturated kind of market, because Gotham City is definitely oversaturated market.
Yeah.
Unless they're gonna just do a Calendar Man movie or series,
Right.
Whatever. Whatever. They can make it. They could probably make it a Netflix series or something.
Something. Yeah.
Some stuff I'm just like, it doesn't have to be dragged out. I get why you may redo it, because some stories are just so iconic. You're like, it doesn't matter how many times you redo it, we're here for it. Not gonna lie, I'll always be here for a Joker movie. Now, I don't need like a trilogy of it, but I'm always going to be here for a different version of, what happened with him. But yeah, we don't need more of it, and we're good. I think Wonder Woman definitely just set DC up right, and we're gonna see how they do this afterwards. I'm like, you can't just have your animated films do well.
Right. Right. I mean, this movie's, Wonder Woman did fantastic. The Harley Quinn, I should say, the Harley Quinn film is fun. It's fun because this is the first time you get this. Well, the second time now that you get to see a live action Harley Quinn, and I actually enjoy how she's playing the role, and she was never a bird of prey, however, but I like the animated Harley Quinn show tons better.
Oh yeah, that's the good things about it, and the little bit I have watched. Although I'm not like a fan of the girl who plays her, the Big Bang Theory girl.
Yeah.
Her voice is just annoying to me. But I have that problem where I too am a toxic fangirl, where I'm like, the original one or nothing. And it's like, still, it would almost be like if Mark Hamill decided, no, I'm not doing the Joker's voice anymore. It's like, oh no, honey, you have to. Or someone else has to do it. Because there is,
you can't break it now.
You can't break it. We want you on every video game still. We want you on these animated. It's that iconic, so I want that. Or something. Who I really wanted was Brittany Murphy. She would have been fantastic.
Oh yeah.
After what got that in my head, after I saw her in Rosario Dawson, who was phenomenal in Sin City, and she told a guy, she cut his little pecker off. I was like, that's Harley Quinn.
She is.
And she did
she
it
really
with tears
is.
in her eyes. She was looking all crazy, and I was like, she's Harley Quinn. I hope they do something soon.
Oh, it's a shame she does. It's a shame she's not around now. It's
an
absolute shame.
Blown it out the water. There's a certain vulnerability and broken craziness, of course, that a lot of people like and can relate to in Harley Quinn. And I just feel like she would have portrayed that so well. Because I don't feel that with Margot Robbie. I feel you have the strength and the crazy down, but I've never really connected with you on an emotional level outside of when I first saw her in Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay, yeah.
And I could just relate to a woman that wants to punch her husband all the time. I was like, girl, yes.
Now,
I don't care if you're paying for this. I want to beat your ass every night.
Now, for the viewers and the listeners, we're not saying that Joker and Harley are relationship goals. They are far from that.
Listen.
We're just saying.
That I have never been, just to give y'all like too much information, but we've been divorced, it's been a while. So I was married. It was a physically abusive relationship. And not one time was I excited or thinking this is like normal or sets out, or we're a real ride or die couple. No, you're like putting on makeup because your face is bruised up. Maybe Harley Quinn was wearing all that makeup all the time, but that face was bruised up.
Yeah, pay attention to the animated series, to the Batman animated series.
Like even when she wants to spend time, he's pushing her off a desk. He's like just physically and emotionally, verbally abusive day in and day out. And you guys are like, crazy couple goals. That shit ain't cute.
No, it's not.
It's not cute to live. I'm like, it's not cute to watch. I think that's also what's interesting when you get older and you start to watch stuff and it didn't hit you the same when you were 12. And now I watch some animated series and I'll watch the tick and I'll be like, yo, I was really watching this. Or I put my son on Invader Zim and I'm watching and I'm like, what the fuck? What was I watching? Invader Zim that show is so dark.
Yeah, it is.
It's so bad, and I'm like, we were really like Ren and Stimpy's another one. Just
Oh God.
Ren and Stimpy is the South Park of the day. Like back then,
ooh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize when dude was cutting that log. Everybody remembers that log scene.
Yeah.
Where Stimpy got the log on his back and Ren is tapping it.
Tap in.
You're just like, oh, what the hell am I looking at?
It just sort of goes to show you how like innocent we were, because that and Cow and Chicken, just a lot of shows we're watching. I was like, wow, you watch it now, and you're
hell, even Powerpuff Girls. Like this dude was
Powerpuff
in there.
Girls was extreme.
Yeah, this dude was in there. He done operated on monkeys, which is why he went nuts and mad on him. And now you got the girls who. There's no telling how many times he had. There's no telling how many failed experiments he actually has.
Yeah, you think about all the dead girls. What happened to, like, there's probably all these dead girls in Professor.
I know who does touch on stuff like the Venture Brothers. When we mentioned Dr. Venture, they touch on that quite a bit, you know.
That show was way too good. But, yeah, there's a lot of dark stuff, and people typically hype up the dark shit. But I'm like, being an adult, part of being an adult is realizing Harley Quinn and Joker are not going. Hell, even Bruce and Selena aren't going. That shit is toxic.
Yeah.
It is annoying. I couldn't even be excited when they're talking about, the wedding.
Even they said it. Even Selena said it. Like, we get married. This is not going to work. Like, you're not going to. You're not
have a kid. I was like, y'all don't. They make more sense just not having anything serious or close to normal.
No.
Don't try to force that on us. At this point, we don't even want it. I'd rather than be their like weird situationship rather than let's really try to do this. No, This is toxic. This is awful. I can't even think of anybody.
Even Selena says it's toxic. She's like, yeah, if we get married, the darkness is gone, and we actually need that for this city. Like,
and the fact that you have to be the person to tell somebody like Bruce that. It's insane. But I don't think I've ever seen a couple in comic book world where I was like, that's healthy, that's what I want. Because even Jean and Scott were working my fucking nerves. I'm like, I'm tired. I am so tired of you guys. I want her to lose her mind and kill you all. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired. You're a Scott
was a simp.
Hey, I promise you I didn't want to say it, but I was thinking it. I was like, Scott is the worst.
I'm going to say it because that's what
worst.
He is. That's why she kept rolling over to Logan. It just.
Listen, he's one of those nice guys, because I've met these guys before. He's one of those nice guys that have to tell you he's a nice guy, and you should really just appreciate that I'm just being a nice guy. And it's like, no, they don't have to. And I'm not a person that ships Logan either, because again, toxic. That's someone you go to and you're like, I'm going to sleep with you, but we're not going to really be together because this can't work. This is dumb.
You got too much back. You have like way too much baggage.
And then you're not going to be up in storm space and then come back to me. I'm sorry. No.
That was the
pick.
Will and Jada and August Alsina.
That was the original entanglement.
Right.
How is that not a meme? How is that not a meme?
It was. I've seen it. It was.
Oh my God. So awful.
I mean, it was though, because everybody knew. Well, not as kids we didn't know, but everybody knew Jean and Wolverine had that look, you know, when they walked around each other, and Scott was just simple. Down home as could be, and didn't pay attention.
So boring.
Sweating and stuff, and you was like, what is going on?
The most interesting thing about Scott is when he's like, I can't control my eyes. And if that's the most interesting thing about you,
Scott was the worst. I'm sorry. Can we touch on this for a minute? Because
yeah, we can. I'm on the Scott hate train, so we can roll this. I'm with it. I love it.
Goofiest one on there, because that I can't see. Ray Charles couldn't see. Stevie Wonder couldn't see. You didn't hear them making no damn excuses. This one had an excuse every day of why he couldn't do nothing because of his eyes. I wear glasses. Chris wear glasses. We ain't out here.
I do wear glasses. I just ain't got them.
It's just like the weirdest one because it's always, oh man, I can't do nothing because I'm blind.
And then I'm like, was Daredevil having that same excuse?
And Daredevil, and we know Daredevil has some relationships.
Oh, he had a couple of entanglements, but he also had his hands. And if you can't see, I need you to have hands. I need you to be tough with the shit. Like, I'll still beat your ass, even if I can't see you. I need you to have hands. Like, there was, it's like, why couldn't Scott be like, have some Taskmaster vibes about him, and then like have the my eyes, like something more interesting. It's like, what was his purpose?
He was too much of a Boy Scout.
God, and it wasn't even like an interesting Boy Scout where like Cap, well, you definitely Boy Scout, but it's like, but I am still here for you.
Yeah.
And I've had moments where I got some stuff in my kitchen right now. It's like, it says Team Start, because it was a serious thing for me in my life to pick a side with that shit. So I'm definitely Team Stark, but he's a character you can say, you're not wrong about whatever you're talking about. I just don't like that it's coming from you, but I still respect where you're coming from. No respect for Scott. I didn't care what he was talking about. I didn't care why he was bothered, even when he was screwed over more than once. I still didn't care.
There was times where he knew about Logan, and instead of like, they would face off, and Logan got that look like, I wish you would. He had that I wish you would.
He's like, if On Site was a person.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. He basically was on some stuff like, but can you fight though? Can you be my ass?
Right.
Can you be my ass? I'll leave your girl alone.
If wish a motherfucker would, that's Logan.
Those are memes. We need to have those memes.
If he was a person, if wish a motherfucker would was a person, it would be Logan.
It was definitely him. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I hate it every time they're doing some type of X-Men reboot or something. And I'm like, if y'all don't can we just have a Nightcrawler film or something? I don't want to see some of these originals. They're so boring.
No, I mean, I didn't like Scott. I'm sorry.
You did. I don't think so. Don't back down now.
Well, I was thinking like the movie version of him, but even in the movie,
movie trash.
He simped out.
Trash every time.
He would always step up, but then he would always walk it back.
Oh.
You know, even with Wolverine, then they would. Yeah, he might talk. He might be able to talk a little trash, but not enough to back it up.
It was only like little moments, like when he was like funny moments that he would have when he's like, "Oh, how do you know it's me?" And he's like, "You're a dick."
Yeah,
Even that working as a joke, it's so funny because we all feel this way about you already.
Yeah.
You're a dick. We don't like you.
No.
I couldn't imagine like being the guy against Logan, or being the guy even like against just way more interesting characters. Like
way more.
Sabretooth is more interesting than you. Houseway.
Let's get on that. He dressed like a 12-year-old kid. Wore a button up.
Not lying.
Like, look at his wardrobe. He wore like half-shirt button-ups and a pair of tight jeans and some Doc Martens.
That's Doc Martens.
And he thought he was about to get all the action. Here with a flannel, some jeans and boots, docking your girl every night, and you think you the man. You the leader of the X-Men. I'm supposed to follow you, and your girl don't even follow you? Stop it.
Basically.
Like, my guy couldn't even lead his girl out of water, and I'm supposed to trust him with my life to fight Magneto?
We got work to do. You should have been talking about a plan.
But I wish in the films they would have made it seem like Storm was more of the leader and who people are really waiting on, because it was still very much feeling like this is Logan's team, this is his squad, this is who we've already latched on to, this is our favor. Mm-hmm. And I wish there was more of that. Okay, no, like, I'm the leader, we still branch out and do our thing, but you follow this magnificent woman of color to lead you guys in.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett would have done great back then.
I think Storm, and I ship Storm. I'm sorry. I ship Storm all day. Having at the time when she was the leader, I'm like, yeah, you made the right decision. It seemed like every time they make her the leader,
shit get done.
Shit gets done.
Hey, let's call it like Scott couldn't like Jean died. He couldn't get his head out his pillow for like 3 weeks. Storm out here on the front line. You know what I'm saying?
It's literally like, it's a tuition reimbursement day. We got people coming into the school.
Like, we need to handle this.
I'm trying to run shit. Like, yeah, we're all grieving, but
keep your ass out of my greenhouse. That's my spot. Don't go.
Don't touch nothing. Don't ask for nothing. She very much has that vibe about her. But
Right.
when you have the right person in charge, she's doing right.
So we know she had that good greenhouse.
On more than one level.
She had I need a little humidity here, a little warmth.
It's definitely on more than one level because I was like, girl, your track list is looking better than Nick Cannon's because Nick Cannon's bad. Nick Cannon has a nice roster. Storm has a really nice roster. I'm like, girl, there's nothing to be ashamed of here.
Right. You know, you got a king over in one area still shipping after you, and I'm sorry for those who hate it, they do belong together.
Oh, they do.
That they belong together. That's a power couple for real. You know, not because they're black, but because they are a power couple. She can handle her business on her own, and so can he. But when they together,
ooh Lord.
and it's been shown. It's been shown during Secret Invasion. I don't know if you read it. During Secret Invasion, the Skrulls called themselves invading Wakanda. That didn't go too well. It was a whole armada. That did not go well for them at all. They sent that ship back to the mothership written in scroll blood. Don't you ever invade Wakanda again. They found out the hard way.
And we won't tell you twice.
Right. Well, guys, Brandi, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to talk about?
Definitely my page. I post cute pictures of costumes and memes. I am good for some trash ass memes. So if you want to follow me on IG, it's just your with an RE, Brandi with an I. You can find me on Facebook from my IG, but if we don't got a lot of cosplay friends in common, I'm probably not gonna add you. And then I have the Triangle podcast. It's Triangle without the E at the end, and then when you're writing out you're gonna put TH and then the number 3. Mm-hmm. So that's where we are. And me and my friends have grown up together overseas and just decided to start a podcast talking about whatever we want. So whether it's our conspiracy theories about biovortexes and ley lines, or us just complaining about what's going on in the world today with Kanye and anything else we want to complain about.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a mess. But yeah, if you are okay with random bullshit, because it's a lot of that, that's what we're for. Non-informative, crazy people.
That
podcast.
Kind of stuff. Like, don't feel bad about that.
Oh, I don't feel bad at all. I just let people know because if someone aren't friends with me like he is on social media, they get the wrong impression in the sense of like I'm trash. Like I like trash ass memes. I say crazy ass shit. Mm-hmm. And I like it, but I'm like I got to give you a heads up because they'll listen to one of the episodes. They'll be like, "What did you say?"
Oh, I've heard their show. It's crazy, but it's fun. It's a fun crazy. So
I'm going to tell you who my favorite Marvel character is, and that'll tell you a lot about me. My favorite person is Deadpool. That is my spirit.
Okay.
So that should tell you.
Was he like one of your favorite original like badass people?
It was like him and Wolverine. I think Wolverine because he was serious, and Deadpool just didn't give a fuck. And that's always what I want to do in life is just not give two fucks and say whatever I wanted. And in this realm, I can do that and feel free.
Right.
What I want. I just say a lot of crazy shit. Like, but I was trying to be, on my best behavior because you're a guest and I want it to be about you.
Oh no, you could have let loose. I'm more comfortable when people are being their crazy self. One of my favorite characters is Lobo, so
I mean, I'm letting you know we're having her on again, so it's no problem.
I'm not too PC when you like certain characters where you're like, what you did was perfectly acceptable in my eyes.
I'm a Lobo guy too. The main man was good. But I mean I will give that a listen because I do like that crazy out there kind of shit. That's just
you like it. You're like, yeah, we'll deliver on it. We'll deliver.
Oh yeah.
The more over the top, the better. See, Chris is our straight guy. Me, I'm just
not Chris.
Well, see, that's
you get the endorsements and them deals done, and he got the good announcer voice. Like, hey guys, Blair's eye here.
Yeah, you're right. But I see, I'm an Aries too, so I got to keep that in the pocket.
Oh, you an Aries? I should have never recorded this shit.
Wait! I'm a Sagittarius, so we balance each other out somehow. I don't know how.
I'm tired of Aries people.
I keep it professional. I don't take no BS, but just like you said, I get the endorsements. I make sure the deals get done.
He's a businessman.
See, Chris said all the business meetings. I set up all the hookers and the coke in the back later on.
That's all that matters.
So
Whipping work. That's it.
Oh, well.
Those the other deals. See, that's why we work.
I like that.
Well, Brandi Blocker, we thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming on to the show once again. Stay tuned. We'll get in some more of those trash ass memes she's been wanting. For those out there listening, thank you for listening to Blurred's Eye View. I'm your host, Chris G. My co-host, Darius, DC Chambers. And if you can't inspire yourself, at least try to inspire somebody else. And stay up, everybody. And put your damn mask on, please.
And don't go to Walmart if you ain't got no goddamn money. Target.
What in the stealing and self-checkout is going on here?
People go to Walmart and Target with no goddamn money, and they will spend 5 hours in there looking at shit they wishing they could buy, and all in the way.
And walk out with a bag of chips and a jar of salsa.
Yeah, like you.
I'm so mad.
Like
we spend all the time in here for this.
For this.
I'm not thinking about what you want to get.
They put dreams on layaway in Walmart right now. That's how bad this shit is getting out here. I hope I can buy these chips later. Like, just God, please put 52 cents in my account so I can get this one. This one plain ass bag of Lay's, and I swear I'll be happy for the day.
Hey, when you live in paycheck to paycheck, there's nothing better than swiping and knowing you can buy those hot fries. You were concerned, and God came through for you. So there's nothing better than those moments.
Oh man.
Oh, it ain't. Not at all. But see, we got people down here in Kenton where I live that go to Walmart like it's, J.C. Penney's or, some high price Macy's or something. They in here like, oh yeah, you got to get this bidet. Nigga, Walmart don't even.
Yes, to the bidet. They said I just got my stimulus check. I'm gonna buy this bidet.
All right.
Like people be buying some unnecessary stuff in Walmart. That's all I'm saying. And then they be, if you ain't got the money, just stay home. Like you don't need to be in there buying stuff all the time you get a stimulus check. Like Walmart ain't that store.
I'm like just online shop like a normal person. I'm like, I have so many things in my favorites on Amazon or as screenshots like, oh, I would love to get this. And it's something ridiculous. You just screenshot it. But I would never just stand around in the store. Not nowadays. No.
Those are the people that go to Walmart every day. Those are the same people that go and shop at Wish all day long.
Oh my God.
And get the shirt that is not really your size because it's 2 sizes too small.
That extra medium that comes.
That extra medium, right?
Yeah. They literally sell the pictures. I ordered a wig from them years ago when I was going to be Morgan Aslan. And I was like, oh, okay. I want it to be like black and then the blue at the bottom. So I was like, let me get this wig. It literally looked like a mop that some dog chewed up. And then they still put it in the bag. And I swear there was like 3 hairs in front for the bang. And then like string in the back. And I was like, I know you get what you pay for. It was like $25. But I was also like, I know.
Waited forever to get this shit.
Because the picture had it looking like this is about to be fire. And I'm like, Wish, no, can't do it again.
See, they gave you the wig, and now you end up looking like my precious.
It looked so bad. I said, you know what? I knew I should put up the street to Keisha and them and went to the hair store and called it a wrap. Because going on Wish, no, absolutely not.
Look, I got a bag. I call myself getting like a shoulder bag for like my laptops and stuff. And that thing came in, and I gave that thing to my wife. I said, this thing look like a damn purse. I can't use this. I can't even make this look masculine. I'm trying to make the strap longer and everything. I'm like, this ain't working.
And it's still very gay.
I'm like, nah. I'm like, take this. I can't use this shit. It's no good to me.
You rocking up front. Now you look like you trying to get in the club before 12 and free. You know what I'm saying? Like you just
Some of my favorite memes are when they're making fun of somebody's outfit. When they're like, when you have to get to the club at 6, but sign the Declaration of Independence before 4. Just because of somebody's outfit being so bad or the shoes are bad. And I'm like, these memes will always be funny to me.
I love
them bad.
I see one. They look like the king from Hamilton. Oh man, this guy, I don't know what he was thinking, but he was like, I'm about to get some action tonight.
Is that like the Is that like the episode from Seinfeld when Jerry was going on stage and he had that
The
puffy
shirt.
the puffy shirt? Yeah.
Yeah.
They called him like a pirate. He's like, what are you, a pirate? Or like they called him everything.
I'm like, maybe if this was like 1980 something and Prince and the Revolution was, you know what I mean? Like there was a time, or even taking it further up, when you're someone like Andre 3000, you can wear that shit and no one gonna say nothing, and you finna bag all the bitches.
Yeah. See,
you dropping lines. You dropping lines and wearing fuzzy pants. I mean, who gonna knock you?
Shoulder pads and ridiculousness, and it's like that's a look. You got a kilt on and shoulder pads, and I'm and football pads on. Yeah, and I'm okay. I'll still sleep with you. That's cool. Whatever. I'm into it.
You know what? Speaking of which, now I've noticed on your page that you are doing like the dating app things. Now some of these pictures you put up.
I'm here. Hold on. There is
some funny. I'm like there are really people out here that have the weirdest profiles and what is your weirdest profile this week? Let's put it that way.
Well, the good thing is I gave myself a break because I just could not. I think the ones that always weird me out or make me go, what, is when you can tell the wife, baby mom, or girlfriend has the password to it. So then they'll go out there fishing. So then there'll be a whole profile that's like, hi, my name's Kevin, and I'm a dirtbag who cheats on his wife and blah, 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 and has 3 kids. And I bet you don't know about me. And I'm like, swipe right? Like, what do I do? I want this drama right now? They're so weird. But I think the guys that are very, I can tell they are hurt. They sound like bitter bitches. I'm like, I can't swipe right on you because you're just like, if you got point compensation, you might as well swipe right. And I'm not 6'5", so, or, swipe left. Or, if you're just here because you can't get over your ex, and like, there's this dissertation. And I'm like, bro, I don't even know, like, what you like. I don't know anything interesting about you because you took the whole bio section to bitch about your dating experience on an app or perhaps how the ex hurt you. And I'm like, who likes that?
Mm-hmm.
Some women like that.
Well, I will tell you from what she's posted up, I thought they were memes. I was like, there's no way these are real.
No.
There are no way these are real. I'm like, because I'm cracking up at every last one. I'm like, are you serious?
Especially
right
some
now?
of the pictures, because again, I'm a vain bitch, so I'm like, you can't be cuter than me, okay? So
yeah, some Prince type dudes.
What'd you say?
Them Prince type dudes who thought they were just
Yeah, no, it's like I can have you like I have a theory about Prince too. I think he always got with women who looked like him because he liked how he looked so much. That's a theory.
That is a weird theory, but it's also creepy to even think like that because now how do you look eye to eye? You know what? That's a different show. You know what?
Yeah, I'm just saying, think about it. Look at his roster.
Yeah.
Look at the women.
It's a nice roster.
His roster, yeah.
I'm like, God, dog. Like, I don't care. They're like, you gonna dress up like that? I'm like, hey, it works for this dude. And he's nailing them.
Like, Prince made you want to be him or work for him. I'm like, I could be in Vanity 6. Like,
right. I'm like, this dude was knocking him down. I'm like, God, dog.
Down. I like crazy. So yeah, when you just know you're kind of the shit and you got your abs out in every picture and you're kind of biting your lip and all doing this business here, I'm like, absolutely not. Swipe left.
Doing the R&B nigga grabbing the air. You know?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like that guy, I promise you, he looked like he was about to drop a song with featuring 112. Like he just. His outfit, the pose, I was like, oh my God, I can't. I couldn't take him seriously. So those dating apps have been a lot of fun, but those are just really stupid profiles.
Well, Brandi Blocker, we thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming on to the show.
We got off tangent. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, I love the tangent. I love the tangent because it gives me more to work with. I love it. If you're listening to Blur's Eye View, you can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm your host, Chris G. This is my co-host, Darius DC Chambers. Thank you, Brandi Blocker. You can follow her on Instagram on also your Brandi with an I. And you can follow with Triangle as well, the podcast. And if you are, once again, if you can inspire yourself, inspire somebody else around you, and keep your head up. Keep your damn mask on. Once again, Darius, what's your
Also, you can catch us on What the Shit, which is a podcast where we do nothing but talk shit. So, there's that.
That's amazing.
So what the shit?
I too shall be on What the Shit.
All right.
Love guests that invite themselves because that makes my job so much easier.
Oh yeah, I ain't gotta ask. I'm like, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I don't need your consent. I'm going to rape your podcast.
And we are having Brandi Blacker back on. That is for sure. This is probably one of my best guests so far.
Favorite
Aw.
best favorite guest ever.
Yeah.
Aw, yes.
I knew I liked you for a reason.
I heard you wasn't shit on the show, and they like me.
So,
Thank you guys.
but thank you for tuning in, everybody. Until next time, Blurred's Eye View out.